That's right. Greetings, fellow Jeffs and Jeffreys. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to our SpoilerCast for The Bear, Season 4. All right, Dragon. So this season honestly snuck up on me. Like, I genuinely had no idea that this was even coming out until I saw it on Disney+. It really kind of blindsided me. I was like, wait, what? Like, I hadn't even seen a trailer or anything. But I got to tell you, man, like, of course, we both had our issues with Season 3. I think Season 3, in retrospect, I appreciate it more, and I need to rewatch it in light of this season. But I will say that Season 3 did lay a lot of groundwork to this season. For me personally, Dragon, I still think Fishes is like the absolute, like, we're never going to get better than Fishes. Fishes is the, is the Ozymandias of this show. But with that in mind, I truly think that for me, Season 4 is just the best overall season of this show for me personally. I think the great thing about this season is that it does leave just enough room open for there to be a final season to wrap everything up. But this really could have been a series finale. And what I love about the season is the catharsis of it all. It's like there's a lot of moments throughout the season where we think things are going to get really ugly, and things do get ugly at various points. But this season is much more about healing. And honestly, I honestly think looking back at the show as a whole, especially as much as I think Season 3 was a little bit plotting, I really do think it's going to get better on a rewatch with the context of this season, because Season 3 was very much about the characters like at their lowest, with this season kind of being, a bit of a redemption for all the characters. So I am very pleased with this season, Dragon. Like, after Season 3, I was like, okay, if we get another season that's just kind of spinning its wheels like this, I don't know where this show's going to land. I'm happy to say that this season really landed for me, and I think it even makes Season 3 probably a little bit better in retrospect. So what say you, Dragon?
Yeah, I thought it was a very strong season. It feels like we're building to an ending. Which, again, like, at the start of the season, I was wondering, like, could this be the end? And of course, thankfully, it has been officially, confirmed for 5. But again, I was wondering with the ticking clock that we have at play. Like, oh boy, that's something very final, and we queued that up at the start. And I don't know, but it was very gripping. I mean, you were very, you locked in. You get the full, you get all the courses of the meal up front. A lot of character progression and growth this season. I think they made some smart decisions. Like, we kept the will they won't they with Claire to a minimum, which was kind of the drag of 3.
We also seriously downplayed the facts, which was a relief. I mean, I liked the facts in Season 1 and 2, but Season 3 was literally, it's like all the facts.
Nothing but the facts.
Not just Teddy and Neil, but all of them.
The facts of life.
Right.
So, I mean, I think, think about this, Tiki. I mean, this season is about things being the most tense they could possibly be. However, our characters now have the tools to deal with this stress better than they had in 3 seasons up to this point. So I think that's a really interesting kind of like, inversion of what we kind of started with, when it's basically a show marketed on tension.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of great to seeing after everything they've been through, they now have like, this is they're the most prepared they could ever be for like this doomsday situation.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I very much do think that this show is like, I really think as long as Season 5 sticks to landing, obviously, like if Season 5 shits the bed, that's going to be terrible. But I think as long as Season 5 sticks to landing, Dragon, I love the progression that we've made from this show. I love how this show was able to evolve from basically like, the pressure cooker, like almost bottle episode tension of Season 1. And then we get into Season 2, which is a little bit more broad with the character progression, the big Fishes episode and Richie's progression. And Season 3 is really going to be the spinning the wheels. But we probably needed that to get to just how cathartic this season feels. And I love that progression.
Yeah.
All right. So, Little Blue, I understand your mom likes some of it. That's fine. I just, like I said, for me personally, this is my personal favorite season. So, okay. All right, Dragon. So do you want to start with we always have really, really captivating openings for each season of The Bear. This is no different.
Well, the big thing that hit with this season is we get our secret weapon right up front, right up front at the beginning.
Definitely.
The Burnthal weapon.
I love this scene between Mikey and Carmy. I don't know why I was blanking on that. I love the scene between Mikey and Carmy because I really just think it basically sets up like a thesis statement of like, this is what Carmy got into the restaurant industry for, and this is what he's not really achieving in spite of him achieving success.
Yeah, I mean, this is we have like the sauce. I love in the background this we have like the. Let me put it this way: with the Mikey Carm scenes that we've had in all 4 seasons, I guess technically 3 seasons if you want to split hairs about the whole the Tina Mikey episode last season. But the point being, in all of our Bernthal scenes, the big takeaway is that we have like we have key pivotal moments of we don't have like all the Mikey stuff just kind of laid out in front of us, like with Bernthal like, explaining what happened and what led to a suicide.
Mm.
We have all these elements that now retroactively we get new information that we then go back and we can factor into the story that we've had so far. And I think we handled that very well. And we're not like hitting you over the head with it, but it's there. Like, for example, here, the spaghetti and the sauce. Like, this is essentially, this is, for all intents and purposes, the last meaningful. Well, sorry, not the last meaningful. I believe this is set before the Christmas episode. So this is like this is where Mikey's getting the idea to put the money in the cans of sauce. This scene is very much, it's an intimate scene between the brothers. It's kind of the impetus where he sees what Carmy wants. And that's why he kind of puts together a little nest egg, based upon that. So this is where it came from. So I love that retroactively we have that. It's a quiet, tender scene, and again, the opening and the ending of season 4 is all about questioning what Carmy wants out of life and the restaurant. So we very much put that in play here, and we pay that off by the end with another big conversation scene.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think ultimately what we're saying is the bear, just in concept, is it's a tribute to not just Mikey but just kind of family in general with the Brizzato name. Hence, well, obviously, I know I'm spelling out the obvious here with the bear and just what the heck the bear stands for, but that's really what it is. I think I
really think this season has gone a long way, like more so than the other seasons, in really establishing like, the name of the show isn't just based on the restaurant or the fact that Carmy's nickname is the bear. The bear is like when Carmy tells Sydney she's the bear at the end of the season. It's like, I love how multi-layered that title has become over the course of these seasons. I really think that's very, very satisfying.
I mean, I always love when we can recontextualize stuff upon a rewatch, and just even within like the course of the narrative. So being able to do that here, and again, just taking like the bear is the burden, essentially, like the burden of basically, it's hard to maintain a dream. That's essentially what the bear really is. That's what the restaurant is, and that's essentially what what kind of the outset's been through the 4 seasons so far. Again, like I said, each flashback, one episode, we add just tremendous context and thematic heft that retroactively just coats the season that we're in, and just all these layers that make it play better. Think about it. We get fishes episode right after forks.
Oh man, forks. Yeah, that's such a great. That is honestly one of the best 1-2 punches in TV history, my friend. Honestly. I mean, it's up there.
Yeah, best example of it right there. Again, like, the big fork scene to Richie looking hauntingly at the forks. So again, it's all relative, and we open big, and we open with Bernthal. At this point, everyone's expecting Bernthal, and frankly, Bernthal's career has taken off so much. It's like, why wouldn't we open with Bernthal? So it all plays.
Honestly, it's so cool to see that Bernthal is like an A-lister now. I love to see it. I love to see it. He deserves it.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's talk about one of the best elements of the season.
The ticking clock.
I was head over heels with the ticking clock idea. Here's why. So, based on the end of season 3, season 3 essentially was, I'll admit, I think, the whole will be continued, the whole to be continued, or the bear will return next season or something like that.
It was pretentious. It was up its own ass.
And I wonder how much of that was they really thought maybe 4 would be the last one. They were just hoping.
Right,
I don't
right,
know.
yeah.
I mean,
I
it was to
honestly
me.
think the way they wrote this season, it could have been the last season if it needed to be,
Yeah, that's the
honestly.
thing. So to me, I didn't have a problem with it because, again, I really thought 4 might have been the ending. So, okay, let's just reassuring folks. Okay, we're not going to get canceled after 3. We're going to be fine. We're going
That
to
would be
wrap things up.
terrible if this show was
Yeah.
canceled after season 3. Oh my god.
So I think the whole will come back was like insurance in case, so hopefully,
Uh-huh.
have the people write angry letters to the network and everything. Anyway,
Sure.
but yeah, so we put him in a position where, okay, God, where are we? How are we going to dig ourselves out of this hole? So I love the logical aftermath approach, where basically episode 1 after that flashback is pretty much all dedicated to the computer and Jimmy laying out the situation as
Uh-huh.
like how we initially react to this. So I love that. One of my favorite aspects in the last episode of last season that bleeds into this one was, Jimmy very reluctantly. He believes and he loves the people here. He loves the restaurant. He really likes this investment. But again, what Jimmy's not really spelling out here that we kind of have in the background with him trying to help Donna sell the house is that, he is Jimmy financially. He's kind of embarrassed here, and not of the restaurant, but like is with his own finances, his own investments, and everything. Jimmy's not as doing as well as Oliver Platt conveys and kind of builds up. Like the man doesn't sweat at all during these things.
So I'm just gonna say, I think Jimmy as a character is like maybe the MVP of the whole season.
Well, he's
And
maybe the whole series. Frank, I've always loved Oliver Platt
I've
on the
always
show.
appreciated him, Dragon, but I really think the writing on his character just goes to the next level in this season. I really, really think that, like, because honestly, in season 1, he's more so just kind of like a plot point. Like, I'm not saying he's badly performed. Oliver Platt definitely has charisma, but I think as the seasons have gone on, he's become much less of like, oh, he's the financier. He's the guy providing the money and therefore providing the tension for the business to do well. To like, we have humanized this guy so freaking much throughout the course of these seasons. Like that conversation he has with Sid near the end of the season, just it practically had me in tears, Dragon. It really did. I mean, just what a warm-hearted guy this is, in spite of him being like a pretty calculated businessman. I don't know. There's just something about how we've peeled back the layers on this guy over the seasons that really responded with me.
So I forget if we introduced him just last season, and I think we did, but I still love the dynamic with the computer. The idea that we don't have a guy who's very much a Luddite. He doesn't really use technology really that much, but he's basically this genius, kind of like pretty much a genius accountant that is like the supercomputer with legs. So he's like Jimmy's secret weapon to really just kind of boil down the cost and how to kind of salvage the business. But again, what we learn retroactively is that Jimmy's brought this guy in because he needs him for his own, for all of his investments, because he needs it right now. Not just like kind of like as a show of force. Okay, guys, we're going to cut costs. Like, okay, I really need this guy to help me out, dig me out of this hole here. And basically, we lay things out in a very economic, very straightforward way. Up at the top, everyone's in the kitchen. They're being kind of led through this. Oliver Richie kind of shows up a little late to the bathrooms. So it just all of this basically sets up we establish the stakes and potentially the end of the show very, very direct. Like we're basically open for 2 months. I love the running gag, and much like myself and you and everybody, probably the demographic watching this show, we're all bad at math.
Yes.
Let's face it. And I love that Carmi is just that we put our main character on screen. Like we make a great joke of it. Like, yeah, Carmi really stinks at math. So, but yes, we have basically 2 months before the money and everything stops. The lights go out, like full on. Like basically, it's where he has to put the restaurant on the market to recoup anything from the investment. So that's like literally lights and everything goes out. No more spending money aside from the recent hires, which basically get the band back together from kind of our fun faces from the last 2 seasons. But yeah, so. It's like the sobering darkest hour with a hint of light, though. Is that look? Unless we establish it at the end of this, where basically we need a miracle. We need like an oh my effing god kind of realization. We need like something big that tipped the scales in their
We
favor.
need something we could potentially franchise to get disposable income, perhaps.
Yep, perhaps delivered by an all-in-the-family cast member. I don't know. But yeah, so we need a miracle or a star, a Michelin star, to justify not closing up shop. Of course, a Michelin star is something that we've been flirting with plotline wise with the Bear for a while. Like that was always like Carney's pie in the highest hope for the restaurant, but now it's like an absolute necessity. So I like that we've kind of framed that Carney's like promising we're gonna get the star, without like a moment of like we're gonna get the star. So so yeah, and of course I love that. I love we also established that Richie wants the critic's head. I love that. It's like Richie's like back, so we're gonna find that critic, and they actually, they boil it down. It's like I love how they're captaining the ship of the restaurant. That's always been kind of my favorite part of the show. But I love that Richie has stepped up to really be like the guy. Like,
absolutely, yeah. Richie is basically like the producer of the restaurant, if that makes sense.
Oh, he's the John Walker, not the bearded one from Thunderbolts, the other John Walker, the Pixar John Walker.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Richie, that is also like, honestly, man, like as much as I do want to retroactively go back and explore season 3, one of the things that I definitely remember not rubbing me the right way about that season is we really don't get a lot of Richie that season. I don't know, maybe he was filming Fantastic Four when that season was going on, but I just think like, because honestly, I don't really remember much of what Richie did in season 3. Honestly, I think he was pretty in the background that season. And I love how he is. I mean, he is like the heart and soul of the show. He always has been. And I think this season is no exception. And I think this season probably gives him a better character journey than any season before this. I mean, he really comes into his own. He really kind of like, I think this season basically like has him fulfill the potential that we saw in him in Forks. Like he's now living that potential.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing, the thing about Richie, was last season. He was in a groove in which he was able to. He was kind of like starting to be able to do the things that Chef Terry and company really showed him. He was able to do. Like for example, we had the I think the Richie scene, assuming it was last season, which I'm pretty sure it was the whole like non-negotiables like thing.
The non-negotiables. Yeah, I remember that.
That was his big landmark scene. Then beyond that, it was like Chef Terry and company, where he was forging connections that paid off this season. That was the main thing he was doing in the background. Sure. I guess he did that in 2 specifically. If he met those people in the first place, but we were threading the needle and like, okay, so Richie knows these guys as well as Carmi. And they're kind of like their restaurant's closing up in 3, and then that's why they are available to come in with 4. But also, it was like Richie was able to like pull off like the whole like the special occasion kind of thing that that was always like the great thing in the show. We're able to do like we wow the people in the restaurant, like making the experience like top tier for all the prices that they're paying. So we kind of saw Richie able to do that last season. That was kind of the main thing. So it was basically like Richie in a better place than he had been, in 2, where he was actually, kind of like, we see what Richie wants to maintain, which is why the potential of taking it away is really weighing on him this time.
Sure.
All right,
so and then we get a lot of good stuff with him, in the father role, but we'll talk about most of that when we get to episode 8. Like definitely the most developed his relationship with his daughter has ever been, which I think is very, very well handled.
Yeah, so Richie's dealing with a lot of stress this season too, where you really see that but he's processing it pretty nicely. He's got an open, honest dialogue going with Tiffany, and he's sticking his ground with the bear, with the stuffed bear.
All right, let's see.
But overall, it's great drama to see our characters on their heels. It's always some of the best dramatic stakes you can have. We're seeing like characters think creatively when pressed. Like some really great stuff we have going on this season that has kind of bled through, like a little sprinkled throughout, like kind of like our status quo with 4. The reduced ingredients and components to simplify the dishes, and we keep stripping them away to kind of cut costs and make do with like the fact that now the vendors are charging the full prices, but they're giving them less materials because they know the writing's on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And we've they said, we don't, even if you only have 2 months, we're still gonna we're not gonna like get you a good deal on that anymore because you're not gonna be around much longer. So exactly. They simplified the dishes, making a consistent menu. And again, introspection from Carmi here. Carmi admits it was an ego move in season 3.
I think the whole thing with like having the menu change every night, that was straight up probably one of the worst decisions that Carmi's made throughout the whole show. Like that was, you're right, it really was just an ego thing on his end, and it really did cause a lot of issues.
It's the crumble cookie menu problem, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Which I hate, by the way. I hate that every time I find a good cookie from there, which again, it's already an expensive cookie. And you know, I'm tempted to get. And I tried crumble cookie properly one time, and I was gifted it like one of the cookies on my birthday one year. And then the fact is, it's just the idea that I can't get the same cookie I liked that time. You know, It's always like it's like, hey, maybe I should make the most out of the selection here. Well, you know, it's going to be a crapshoot.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I would like a box full of cookies, but you know what? There's only one cookie that you like, because all the other ones, they're gone. It's changing week to week. It's stupid.
No, I mean, I would definitely, like, as far as like me being a personal like diner of this establishment, I would definitely prefer the consistent menu.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So we bring in the staff of Chef Terry's restaurant, and Dragon. Other YouTubers have made this observation, so this isn't like really an original observation on my part. But when I realized that Will Poulter was basically going to be a fucking series regular this season, my reaction was basically like something out of like a hyped up MCU moment or something. I'm like, it's Luca! Oh my god! And we get him all season! He's gonna be around!
Now, what we really need to see is Luca making a trinade pasta.
Yes, absolutely.
From the Luca movie, kids.
No, but I don't know. Luca he's always been like one of the absolute best side characters. Like, I love how he plays kind of like against the usual Will Poulter type. Like, Will Poulter plays a lot of idiots, a lot of jerks. And this guy is neither. This guy is like very, very intelligent and good at his job, and also like probably one of the most wholesome characters in the whole show. So yeah, you know what really got me about Luca this season?
Oh yeah, no question.
What? Oh yeah.
What really got you about Luca this season?
And this is going to sound silly, but like there's like a handful of shots with Luca this season where he's like just like wandering around the restaurant and like appreciating the history of the place, like taking in like the family photos with Mikey, and just kind of like smiling to himself about like, oh man, I'm getting to be a part of something that's like a lot bigger than myself. Dragon, I thought those moments were wonderful. They're kind of fleeting, but like, I don't know. Do you know the moments I'm talking about? Like, he doesn't even have any dialogue. He doesn't even have any dialogue. It's just him, like, you know, in self-reflection mode. And I just thought it was beautiful the way they handled that. It's brief moments, but I felt like that went a long way with him, you know, for characterization.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to talk about Sid?
Well, I mean, should we talk about the whole Claire thing, or do you want to jump to Sid?
I honestly think we can kind of like one-shot the Claire thing whenever we want, because there's not really a lot to talk about there. Do you want to talk about Claire first?
That's what I mean. Do you want to just get it out of the way, or?
Let's get it out of the way. It's fine. I still think that Claire is a little bit of like I just don't buy what the characters are trying to sell me about her being like just this perfect angel of a human being. Honestly, Dragon, as a nurse, I really don't think she has that great of a bedside manner. She's really pretty like blunt in a lot of her interactions, from what I've observed. I frankly don't like how she's treating Carmi. Honestly, like, Dragon, I'm just going to say this. If I had the mental health issues that Carmi had, I would want a partner that's a little bit more understanding about them. Just frankly, I would not want a partner that doesn't understand that I'm going to have moments of weakness. So I just don't know, Dragon. I just don't. Honestly, I am not shipping Carmi and Claire at all. I'm not shipping Carmi and Sid either. I frankly think Carmi needs to end the series like with him having to work on himself. I really don't think I kind of agree with his assessment of the situation where he's not really ready to be in a relationship right now. So I don't know. The Claire thing, like I said, I think the best stuff with Claire is when she's interacting with Richie's daughter in episode 8. But other than that, man, she's always been a weak point of the show for me. And like I said, I think one of the things that really doesn't sit right with me is just the show's insistence and the character's insistence that she's like such this amazing person. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what I think, Tiki, but you coming in a little robotic. Can we? Is there anything we can do about that? Maybe.
How's does it sound any better? I just moved closer to the microphone.
So far, yeah.
Okay, let's go with it. Tell me if it acts up again.
Sure thing. Okay.
Also, I'm outside because of the house guest, so it might have been like wind or something.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so Claire. I mean, here's the thing. So, I really like that Carm's trying to be proactive versus the whole like avoidance of Claire last season, which I felt dragged on a lot. I mean, I know I hear what you're saying. The whole like we deified Claire a lot, but that was the charm of like one of the charming bits of the Christmas episode where everyone was very much rooting for Carmy to end up with Claire, and it kind of was going that way. The thing with Claire is that Claire I feel is emblematic of it's kind of the comedian mental health idea where if a comedian like went into analysis, went to therapy and kind of sorted through their problems, it's always the fear of like if I'm mentally well, if I'm mentally healthy, if I get over my issues, will I cease to be funny? And
that's not going to be a problem with me, Dragon, because I'm never going to cease to be autistic.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's where a lot of my comedy comes from. Anyways, I digress. I'm sorry.
Okay. You see, do you take my point though?
Yes. I get your point. Yeah.
The idea that anyone, if there's like something that like it's a comedy coming from misery, if the misery goes away, will I cease that? Will my gift cease in that respect? Carmy, if he's happy, will that lessen his sharpness and acuity as a chef, which basically is kind of what we saw the conflict of in 2. Chaos. As we get into here, it's the whole chaos and peace, where peace is kind of his enemy because he thrives in chaos, because that's what he grew up in. Claire brings peace, and that's anathema to him. So that's the interesting thing with the relationship. The problem is 3 was we avoided talking about this issue until now. So the fact that we're talking about it now, I think is welcome. I think is good. And yes, we kind of have to. I guess we had to put him through some of 3 to get him to this point. But I still think here's the thing. I still think it was unfair of her to really judge him when he was essentially having a panic attack in a freezer at the time.
Yeah.
And basically all he was saying is that,
and frankly, Dragon, I don't think that speaks well to her as a nurse.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't really saying anything about her to her detriment. It was just saying there was anything anyone could tell. It was a reflection on his perception of having something positive in his life, which would have been her. So I still think, I don't know, the Claire thing's still a little messy, but the fact, having a conversation, kind of tell that, okay, she will never say the words "I was wrong," but she's kind of, you can see her like coming around and like during the wedding and everything. It's like think she's come around. You get a sense they might end up back together, maybe not. Who knows? At the very least, they're in a better place than they were, and she's kind of heard them and it's receptive, and it's the whole thing. We need to be able to tell each other that these things, and she does just cheer him on when he is like taking steps to get better. But again, a little too late on that one, but still, there, it's there.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the things with Claire. So it's representative of the healing theme of the season, where Carmy, he wants to break the cycle and be happy. That's what he wants. So that's why he changes the agreement, which we'll get into the ramifications of that later. But he relinquishing kind of ownership of the struggling restaurant, so presumably he can go off with the pretty girl.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the other side of that, I guess we have Sid, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Dragon, it's really interesting because basically Sid has essentially the same storyline that she had in season 3. And Dragon, you know me, I thought the storyline in season 3 like really, really dragged. And I thought that we really weren't doing anything with her. Here's the difference. One, I think we get a lot more time in Sid's personal life. I think the episode with Daniel Detweiler, with her interacting with the kid, I think that episode is a big standout. Like, we really get into the character psyche. And importantly, Dragon, one of the things I think this season really does well, where, like, I mean, Shapiro has never been the most likable guy, but I really feel like in this season, they do a great job of spelling out, like, there is reason for Sid to go to him because, you know, like, the bear literally has a ticking clock. You know, it's like she might not have a job in a couple months. But I think what they do a good job of is every time we see Shapiro on screen, he is smarmy as hell, and he basically becomes a full-on villain this season in some respects. And so it's like, I really like that. It's like we've gone from this guy basically being like, he's not Carmy, and it's probably not going to be like a family atmosphere like the bear is, but it probably would be a good career move for her, like, logically. To, like, this guy is going to, like, I don't know, man. I think throughout the screen time with Shapiro, he just really, the more that we see him, the more of a bad vibe he gives off. And then his final words to her are just fucking nasty. And then he tells Carmy about it. So it's like, what do you think of the Shapiro thing, Dragon? Because really, I think between that and, like I said, the standalone episode with Daniel Detweiler, then of course we also get the episode with her father having the heart attack and her great monologue. Like I say, it's essentially just part two of the whole, like, oh, is she going to leave the bear or is she going to stick with the bear? But it's so much more compelling than it was in season 3 for me personally.
Well, it's interesting. I had a different read on the Shapiro thing. I kind of read it more like, mind you, nowhere near as compelling as this, but well, it's not the same thing iota per se, but it's the best example I have to explain kind of my take on Shapiro. It's more Rich Schweikert. I kind of vibes I got from him.
A little bit, but Dragon, that's the thing. We like Rich Schweikert.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
Never did not like Rich Schweikert. That's the difference. I think they go out of their way to make Shapiro a little bit unlikable.
I'm just saying with Shapiro's, the end scene with Shapiro, I didn't read as necessarily devastating. I read that as like, Shapiro is not wrong in what he's saying, that this is a very...
No, he's a petty little bitch. He's a petty little bitch.
I'm
sorry. I'm going to have to fight back on this.
Tiki, that's the thing. I just saw it like, look, here's the thing. When he's doing the walkthrough and everything, I'm with you in that, you know, he's not presenting, you know, the family atmosphere. But again, it's like
the little microaggression with the music, like being surprised that she wants to listen to classical music instead of hip hop, you know, like little shit like that.
Yeah, that's bad. I won't I'm just saying the fact that he's presenting a ground floor. Clearly, this guy doesn't really know a lot of what he's doing in terms of the building of the business side of things, which again, Sid might thrive in. So I thought that was kind of the appealing thing there. Is like, okay, clearly this guy is not seemingly won't be as combative as, you know, Carmy was in the beginning with her, which is the end of, like, I can steamroll this guy, make this what I need to be, and he's kind of the notoriety that I'm going to need. You know, at least like they need a chef to, you know, like being able to get in there and just kind of do my stuff and then kind of build from there. The guy's an opportunity, and then he points out, yes, I am the opportunity. Why on earth would you say no to this? Instead of like her, you know, she doesn't really. I think if you're really intended to be as unlikable as you're feeling he is, Tiki, it kind of feels like, you know, we would have had Sid, you know, stick up for herself a little more against this guy on the phone, which she didn't do at all. It just felt more of like.
But I feel like her sticking up for herself has been like a real issue with her character, like all throughout the series. And honestly, I feel the culmination of that is the finale, when she really goes at it with Carm, and like goes at it with Carm for stuff that goes way beyond just the situation that the fight initially starts over. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying that Shapiro is like straight up evil or anything.
But you did. You said he was the villain of the season.
That still doesn't mean he's straight up evil. Like, this is a very wholesome show, okay? So it's like he can be the antagonist, all right?
Yeah, he was barely in the show, but okay.
Okay, tell me that. Say what you will about his reaction. What he's saying isn't wrong per se, but the way he said it made him come off as a petty bitch. I'm
I mean,
sorry. The
I get.
tone, Dragon.
Look, I get that here's the way they shot it to you. Here's why I'm bumping up against it. Okay, the way they shot that scene, you got to see a guy who's like, again, Sid's been giving everybody the runaround on both sides. She has, and you see a guy who, again, at least the way it's been kind of framed. Yes, we have the microaggressions around, which is not great, but I'm just saying to the point of like, Sid, like, it's not, she's being very wishy-washy with him, and I think there's a genuine frustration of like, he's being harsh with her, but it's like a thing of like, you know what, I gave an opportunity here, and you spit in my face for this, and you just kept me on the line all this time. So again, she really has put this guy in kind of a bind. I got to find somebody else when I had someone pretty much locked in. She gave me every inkling that she was in on this until this very moment. So I think he has an understandable frustration at her.
All right. I mean, that's fair. That's a fair point.
And I think the way they shot that really showed. Like, remember, like she's on the phone, just going through the usual motions. You can see him getting ticked off on the phone, but he's trying to be polite about it at first. And it's like, you know what? That you're making a mistake. You're making a huge mistake.
Yeah. I hear you.
He's smarmy as all get out, and Carmen even points it out later. You're right. He is definitely far. He's nowhere near as great a chef as our other guy.
I mean, what do you think of his move to just straight up tell Carmi about the whole situation? Because I thought that was a jerk move. Like that was basically like him trying to sabotage her relationship with Carmi because he couldn't get her.
I don't know if that's. I mean, again, Sid's doing this on the down low. I mean, that's information, of course. Like he would probably mention because she and Carmi know each other. I mean, they think that would just come out. I don't think there's any entitlement to privacy there. I don't even think there's like. I mean, look, maybe. Honestly, had she not given him the runaround, maybe he wouldn't have. You're right. Maybe he would have been a little bit more respectful of that. But it's like again, she doesn't really. Again, she's kind of doing that on the side behind Carmi's back anyway.
All right, fair enough. Okay, with that being said, you thought that the standalone episode with her was really good, right? You with me there?
Yes, I thought. Look, I thought it was a good episode for her. Admittedly, though, so it's Sid on the whole. Okay, so she's at a fork in the road. Just like the Muppets. She's loyal to a sinking ship. It's basically either be loyal to the sinking ship and family that you've made, or become the better Carmi, which she has the tools to do. And the episode with the cousin and niece, we used that episode to voice that. Now, admittedly, I think it's a good episode, but it does feel like it's like a forced character episode that okay, we're gonna kind of pause our main plot, we're gonna go with Sid, but it's not that there's anything wrong with the episode. I think it's good in serving her character, but it does feel like that coupled with all the other, it just Sid's a lot of rinse and repeat, like, oh, she doesn't know what decision to make until we put her father in the hospital. It's a lot of that's like kind of the usual runaround with Sid that we're kind of doing here. But we have one episode I think probably does it best because we have her like voicing the hypothetical of playing video games with your friends with Carmi in the restaurant,
Right. Yeah.
Which is good, but I don't know, maybe from a pacing aspect, just between the fact we have that wall to wall and then we have an episode, it's like, okay, just very casual. It's like, hey, let's go shopping and just kind of drag out the conversation for an episode,
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, so her father, what happens to her father puts everything in perspective for her and really kind of motivates her to make a decision. I love the detail that the Bear staff, they have great concern for her, even though Carmi says, look, we don't want to make a big deal about it. She's like, no, absolutely, we're going to do something nice for Sid. Yeah.
Okay, anything else from the first handful of episodes of the season before we want to start getting into the big meat of the back half?
Yeah, we should talk about the awesome bit with the food critic.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. I love I love kind of like the mystery there of like what's actually happening, and and then the fact that it's such a good pool. Yeah.
I love the fact that Richie found a way to do like kind of like the special evening for somebody.
Oh, the special! Oh my god, dude, that scene is like an all-timer in the show. I think like maybe not as much of an all-timer as the table scene is seen in our thumbnail. Like I think the table scene is basically going to go down as like the scene from this season. But that scene is maybe number 2. Honestly, like that scene was fucking magical.
Well, literally, yeah, we made it snow. But yeah, I love the fact that they're making an exception with giving her the beef, the old school beef, and then we're making it snow, and even like we kind of like essentially are a food critic in hiding. I love, by the way, Richie did have like some good leads on the whole. Like they change the name constantly when they're at the restaurant. Like changes like usually like the last name's like a street name or something. Thought that was clever, and I just love like you, the audience member, know like, oh, that's him, that's the critic.
Yeah.
As he just kind of spots them this magical evening and everything. So it was great. And it's great to give them a win while they're on their heels. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
It's always
Absolutely.
like some of the best of Better Call Saul was Jimmy McGill. Honestly, one of my favorite episodes of all time from Better Call Saul. Expenses. I love Expenses. That's like the most on his heels that we've seen Saul Goodman. So it's these are the so seeing him being able to pull out some magic like this. It's just it's what this our ragtag group is all about.
Sure.
All right, let's see. So the wedding.
All right. Yeah. So I don't know. Just first of all, I love how we literally start the episode with essentially a panic attack. And you turn on the episode, you see that it's like over an hour long. Everyone who's watching the show, they're thinking like, oh boy, we are about to get Fish's part 2.
Yes. Right. Break out the Mulaney.
Right. Oh my God. Mulaney really is kind of like, along with Bernthal.
He was the other secret weapon, you're right.
Well, Bernthal is like the dramatic secret weapon. Mulaney is definitely like the comedic secret weapon.
Yeah. Let him host the Oscars, kids.
Oh my God, please. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that Conan's doing
it. We love Conan, but Conan needs rest sometimes, okay?
As long as they don't give it back to Jimmy Fallon. Before,
did you ever see that Hot Ones with Conan yet?
No, I need to. Thanks for reminding me. I'll watch that soon. Yeah.
You gotta watch it. It's hysterical.
I believe you.
Anyway, yeah, but sometimes after next year, maybe give Mulaney a shot.
Yeah. All right.
I was still charmed. Jeff Garlin did his comedy special, and at the end, he told everyone that watched John Mulaney's special was adorable.
Nice.
Everyone loves John Mulaney. Okay, so it's kind of a break from the chaos for closure after Fishes. It essentially is the sequel and kind of the catharsis to Fishes.
But it's not the sequel that we were thinking it was going to be, because we were thinking it was going to be like, oh shit, is something even more dramatic in it? And we even have that that build up from Mulaney himself, where he's like, oh boy, shit's gonna go down.
Also, we had a moment, kind of a fake out moment, where Donna and Sid, they have their conversation. You think, oh no, Donna might make a scene there. It's like there's a lot of there's a powder keg there where Donna's like, yeah, but it's nice he spends time with his family, but not really as much with his work family, or with his work family, not much with his actual family.
But at the same time, I really do appreciate how genuinely empathetic Sid is to her, given that she knows about the situation and she knows how troubled this woman is.
Yeah.
So yeah. So another big thing with this episode is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this wedding is an event that has basically been building up throughout pretty much the whole series.
I'm sorry, what's been building up since the whole series?
The wedding?
Yeah, because we've had them, I'm trying to remember. Early on, do you recall if she was dating Frank in the first season, or were they engaged the whole time? Because I could have sworn there was a reference.
She might have got, I honestly think, Dragon, from what I remember, I honestly think one of the earliest beats with Richie's character is the fact that she tells him that she's getting engaged to Frank.
Because I can't remember if Frank asked permission
to deal with it. And Frank we've never seen until this season.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I can't recall if Frank I don't know. You sure about that? Because Frank didn't ask him permission or something to.
No, I know we haven't seen Frank until this season because it's a big guest star.
All right, okay. Which, by the way, not just any guest star. That's Josh Hartnett, kids.
Which it's amazing, and Josh Hartnett, he again, Dragon. He's got a big involvement with one of the key fucking moments of the entire series, which I love. Like I love the Hartnett renaissance that we're in right now.
Of course, every time I think of Hartnett, I'm thinking of Sin City.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yep. Anyway, so the wedding of Tiffany and Frank, of course, Tiffany played by Jillian Jacobs, by the way, Adam Eve.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. So a few things. So here's something. Okay, this actually broke my heart during the season, by the way. Okay, so Sugar. So Natalie, she's in a feud with Francie Fack, which we built up in past seasons.
Yeah.
Now it was heartbreaking seeing poor Neil like break the news to Sugar,
Yes.
and he was an adorable scared child. And I gotta make, she's always been so nice, and you'll see in her like really upset, mean to him. That was like that broke my heart. We had and see if we have to show those two are okay because that really did bum me. We kind of have it under the table. They seem to be. I guess they're cool, but it's still, I don't like Sugar yelling at Neil like that.
But I think that was like a really good like build up throughout their entire dynamic because honestly, Dragon, like as nice as she is to Neil, she infantilizes him a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's adorable though.
No, it is adorable, but I'm just saying, like, I think this is like one of the first times where it's like she's looking at like no, I can't just call you like my sweet baby anymore. Like you're a grown ass adult and you made a fucking mistake.
No, he did not make a mistake. Come on.
No, I'm not. Look, I'm not arguing her point. I'm just saying, like, from her perspective, like it's. I don't know. I thought at the very least it was character growth. Yes, it was hard to watch, but it was character growth.
Well, even I'm saying at the very least, I really hope we see a scene where even if he's not infantilized, that we see that they're on good terms. The whole, which presumably they will.
They'd be on better terms if she stopped with the infantilizing stuff. I don't know.
I thought. I think it's a good running gag, It's.
I guess so.
Okay, and anyway, I do love the whole thing with Neil and the hot chocolate. Though it was really funny.
Yes.
No, he's adorable when they infantilize him. I don't know.
Maybe it's just because I'm in a period in my life where it's like I'm around Neil's age and I feel like I am in arrested development. So it's like when that stuff happens, I feel kind of like called out in a way.
Yeah, well, that's a youth thing then.
Like I'm not a grown adult either. Like a serious adult woman probably would treat me like this.
Maybe if you got all tatted up, people would see as a cute baby man. I don't know.
Oh God. All right. Yeah. Anyway,
grow a mustache, be tatted to the gills, and see what happens.
Not going to grow a mustache. That is not going to happen.
Yeah, just gonna grow your hair out.
Yeah, I am. I'm doing that.
Anyway, so Brie Larson cast as Francie Fack, the much rumored and built up Francie Fack that's on Sugar's crap list. So just the fact so when she shows up, oh boy, she is so it's on. Like that's the instant scene that we do have. These two are at each other's throats the moment they're in the same room together. It's like instant trash TV frenzy,
It's like Jerry Springer.
Exactly. It's like the whole pre-rehearsed, Jerry, they're all charging at each other, that kind of thing. Yeah, because presumably, basically, what we learn, at least to my recollection from here, is that essentially they used to be besties and friends and possibly experimental lovers.
That's the vibe I got. Yeah.
So Carmi. Hold on, Tiki. Hold on.
Person.
We're getting the robot thing again, Tiki. You might want to just adjust the skosh.
All right, is that any better?
Yeah, you're good now. Okay, so what were we saying?
I was saying Brie Larson, she plays Roxy in Scott Pilgrim, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of funny that she kind of has a history of playing like characters that like other characters have like experimented with sexually in the past. It's kind of funny that it's one of those like it's weird that it happened twice sort of things.
Oh yeah. So
right, you want to talk about Uncle Bob?
Yes. Well, you mean Lee, but yeah.
Oh, God, fucking Bob. Fucking, ugh. Yes, Uncle Bob Odenkirk. Dragon Bob Odenkirk is everyone's uncle.
I mean, pretty much.
All right, yes, Uncle Lee, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Carmi is avoiding his mother, who basically represents the fear. He's always represented the fears of what he'll become after Fish. So Fish has traumatized Carmi in that way. There was like a picture of what his future could be with the family and just staying there is the never-ending stress.
Uh-huh.
So we bring in our MVP. We bring in the Odenkirk. The Odenkirk comes in.
I mean, talk about a one-scene wonder, man. Like, I love how this character, like, he's in 2 episodes of the whole show. I really don't even think we need to see him again. And he has maybe gone through the biggest character arc out of a lot of the characters on this show, man. I really think that it's like, I love how it's like in Fishes, he is straight up just such an asshole. And he's provoking Mikey, and Mikey is being terrible to him too. So it's like you understand where the frustration is coming from, but at the same time, you just want to shake him and be like, just give the kid a break. Just meet him halfway, for God's sakes. And I love how it's like, no, we do see that, like, Dragon, this is like fucking Darth Vader taking off his mask at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, man, it really is.
You know what? I had a realization when I was watching the show. It feels like I think Odenkirk was the secret weapon in part because I want to say he's a native Chicagoan.
Sure, that makes sense.
So it just kind of felt, it was given like the reverence that we have with Bill Murray in this show. It just kind of felt like maybe deep down that's kind of the SNL Chicago connection,
Right, yeah.
But I love he shows up and he's in the kitchen like you hiding out too, and they're sharing like the anti-nicotine gum thing or whatever, like the smoke, the gum he used to quit smoking.
Uh-huh.
And I love it. Says, "You trying to quit too?" No, I'm just need gum. And I love there's tension there because of Fishes. This is essentially our big Fishes sequel scene here. Of course, that was like the whole
Sure.
throwing forks and everything. So it's a lot of a lot of blame for Mikey falls on Lee, and it's. Again with all the prodding and everything, there's a lot of assumed, the prodding and everything that led to, the guilt and the suicide. Like presumably the way it worked out, if you look at Fishes, and essentially what happens in that dinner table conversation is that Lee is pointing out, Mikey not being not being great at running a business or restaurant, and essentially that kind of puts the pressure on him in his bad investment.
We get that extended sequence of him just repeating over and over, like, "You're nothing, you're nothing, you're nothing."
And you have to wonder, like, how much. And part of you wonders, like, is that being said, or is that in like Mikey's head? Uses like when someone says, like, which is so great. And I love it's ambiguous too. It's a little ambiguous,
right?
Because it feels really off. Like you're nothing. But you also have like
he said it once. My guess is he said it once, and then Mikey's just like repeating it in his head. That's how it came off to me.
There's also in real life you do have like awkward repetition, which does make you wonder, could it be like an actual? So it's unclear. I like that it's unclear. So regardless, I'm saying that basically what he's pointing at that dinner table scene while Jimmy's there is the whole thing. Like you're getting in deep with Jimmy's investment, and you have no idea what you're doing, and basically spelling out that you're financially going to be underwater and you can't handle this. And basically he's running, you're such a failure, and basically kind of pushing him near the edge of suicide, which presumably is kind of what the undercurrent of that scene was. And presumably in the time that's passed, he felt guilt about that. He kind of backpedaled it. Now they wasn't dating Donna. Things probably smoothed out. So that was the big reveal that to Carmi, that he and I actually patched things up. We knew each other. We had a few more encounters since Christmas that you didn't know about because you weren't around, and we actually we patched things up.
I don't know, man. There's just something so beautiful about that sentiment, the way that Odenkirk plays it. Like Odenkirk does feel like the genuine guilt. Oh man, it's really powerful stuff. It's really great.
But I love that you can sense the unspoken regrets in Lee. There's the whole thing like, yeah, we patched things up, but it wasn't enough to save him.
Right, yeah.
So again, a big theme of the season is that people can change and heal. That's essentially Lee is representative of the big theme of the season. This guy, this flaming a-hole from from the Christmas episode. If he can change, there's hope for Carmi. There's hope for everyone, and it's. But you have to face it first. That's the thing. You have to go back after the horrors that happened to that house and everything. You have to go back, which is what Lee did, which Carmi did not do. At least, as far as everyone knows, did not do. So so then after that scene, after we have our thinker, we have kind of like that was our big fishes sequel, and then we have something nice to kind of bring everyone back. We have the under the table scene.
Which, I mean, I don't know, this is just TV magic right here. Like, I totally get some people are saying it's overly sentimental.
No.
Some people are saying, like, there's no way there would be a table that's that big that everyone could fit in. Dragon, I give that the most enthusiastic, we don't fucking care in the world, because this scene is just, I don't know, man. It really moved me. It life affirming is a good way to put it for me, honestly. It really meant something to me.
No, I agree with you. It was a thing of beauty, It's the fact that we have Ava with the stuffed bear that that Frank bought him. Bought her. And it's just great that we see like Frank, despite being like this great sated guy, he's insecure that he can't get Ava to come out and do the daddy-daughter dance and everything. And I love the pep talk that Richie gives him. He completely lies, saying, "Oh, I can't." She just says nothing but glowing things about you every time I see her. It's like, Claire's like, "Is that true?"
Fuck no.
It's just great. But again, he is a really nice man for just like giving him that.
And I love how it's like you would have never seen season 1 Richie do that. Season 1 Richie would have used every opportunity at his disposal to cut this dude down. But it's like Richie is looking out for the greater good in everyone. He's looking out for the greater good in Tiff. He's looking out for the greater good of the family, obviously for the greater good of his daughter. And on some level, he even has kind of a genuine fondness for Frank at this point. And again, that is just what good TV character growth is, man. And that to me is kind of like what the heart of the scene is. But the other thing at the heart of the scene is just like, we just get to see how much of an extended family this whole cast of characters is. And I love how it's like, we don't just get the series regulars. Like, we get random characters like, like Teddy's girlfriend and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, to me, what that says is it really says that, like, even the most chance people can come into this family's orbit and have, like, a really positive experience with them and really be changed and come out the other side. Oh, and also, Dragon, did you like the song that they played during this scene?
Thought it was good.
Okay, that song is played by, that is a beginning song by the Decemberists. Dragon, the Decemberists are my all-time favorite band.
Oh, that's
so nice. Very, very, very cool to see them get like a needle drop for one of the show's defining moments. That's one of my favorite songs of theirs. Awesome, just on a personal, like, music fan level. That was honestly, Dragon, that to me is probably a decent part of why I got so emotional watching this. And I can tell you that they actually, if you listen to it, they actually repeat the song like twice, like all the way through, because it goes on for so long, the scene. Like, well, they repeat like the first couple verses a couple times, but anyways, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a nice cathartic and really cute scene. The idea that we have this everyone's under the table talking about fears, which I really like. They're all talking about fears to kind of get the kid through, and they're all kind of having a moment of introspection.
Which I think is really appropriate for the show that has, like, so much of this show has been founded on just anxiety. Anxiety through the audience, anxiety that the characters are going through, like mental health issues in general. And so for one of the most cathartic moments of the whole show to involve all the characters just being, like, really, really hard on their sleeve, honest about their insecurities and their fears. Like, god damn, it's powerful. I'm getting a little choked up just talking about it, honestly, man.
Yeah. So, and of course, just overall, Dasher John Mulaney never hurts either.
Of course, of course.
I gotta tell you, like, I just really love the idea in like he and the Sarah Paulson character, like they're an item. I really like that.
And I love the idea that John Mulaney, like, he just lives for these family gatherings. Like, that's just
well, we had him trying to
character.
do like the fax scheme with them. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
Just to egg it on. It's like that for Frank. I think they're trying to like get one over on Frank, which is adorable.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, so good, so good.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's talk about the prep for the final night. This is kind of like this would kind of all encompass like our last 3 episode kind of.
Okay, I also kind of feel like we should kind of go quickly like roundtable through some of the minor characters and they're like, because I think this season does something really smart with the side characters like Tina and Marcus and Ibrahim, where it's like they all have one thing that they're really focused on, and like we don't get a ton, like they are kind of put to the back. I kind of feel like season 3 Marcus and Tina were a little bit more in the forefront. They're kind of a little bit more in the background, but they still have meaningful story stuff. So I want to kind of like quickly go roundtable through that. But what else did you have in mind before
the main thing I was going to start with Ibram, because Ibram is kind of the he is
he really stepped up to the plate, and honestly I think it's fair to say it's not even like a hot take that the beef is going to save the bear, right? Like that is where we're headed.
Yeah, I mean, also I think that we have in our like the back door of that is like if anything happens to the bear, at least the beef, the original kind of thing, like Mikey's legacy is still going to live on in some capacity. So that kind of it's a very narratively it's a really good idea that we've kind of put forward there. Obviously, the bear is we're trying to preserve that. The worst case, the beef will live on.
Sure, but I really do think that the beef is going to be the salvation for the bear. It is going to be that disposable income that the bear needs to survive.
So it was
especially if we go the franchise.
Ibra was always, I think Ibra and our character who's the sommelier been like the most underutilized characters in.
I wish we would see more of that guy. I hope that guy has a little bit more of a character arc in the final season because I do really like him when he's on screen.
Yeah. But, Ibra, we kind of had him, and he basically, here and there, and like at the beginning, we was just like doing the sandwich stuff, and we just kind of established, okay, these guys, you don't have to worry about these guys, they know what they're doing, so it just adds like all this extra, the extra layers of, oh man, Ibra actually, we had this, we had that quiet moment with him and Carmi saying, he wanted to take classes, but he never had the time. Because of the bear, but he's putting those skills to the test, which really, ends up saving them, which is like the most unsuspected, underdog of a source is what the salvation is going to be. So that was
totally.
So that was wonderful. The whole idea of like, but again, it's the whole thing of like, despite we're operating on like simple dishes, the way we're going to compensate for it and bleeding into Tina as well is that it'll be the speed at which we're going to compensate for with faster service, which would give us more customers and more money. So that's kind of again that brings us Albert Schooner, played by Rob Reiner.
Yep.
Essentially Mr. Franchise. And I love the inclusion of him. Rob Reiner's great. Lately every time I think of Rob Reiner, I think of the Albert Brooks documentary, which I love. That's him and Rob Reiner and Albert Brooks sitting down having a conversation. So it was great. It was a smart move to include him and having him as kind of like the potential saving grace, Mr. Moneybags of the franchise. Let's see. So Tina's whole thing, and Luca very key in helping Tina out. Tina's trying to get her pasta time down under 3 minutes.
So what I love about Tina is that again she had probably she had the best episode of season 3, hands down.
Which, by the way, was directed
she had a
by
lot
Sid.
of development in season 3, and I really appreciate the fact that. Yes, I remember that. And but I really appreciate the fact that I think it was a smart move where it's like she had her time to shine in season 3, and so we give her like a very, very self-contained goal, to basically like improve a minute off of her time making this pasta. But I love that goal kind of like essentially encompasses like the growth of all of our like staff characters throughout the season, just how far they've come, just their how skilled they are. And yeah, the moment where she actually achieves it, man, it is cinematic catharsis at its finest.
Oh yeah. All right, let's see. So, okay, so Marcus, he gets the good review. He gets I don't know if it was that food critic that we saw, particularly that one night. I think
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure that was the idea.
So the idea that Marcus got the glowing review, and I love that it's kind of like the in-your-face computer moment. Like it was honestly one of the best moments in season 3, if memory serves. Was the computer saying you have to fire Marcus, and Natalie saying like no, I will throw
Marcus,
stuff in.
you do not fucking touch Marcus.
Yeah.
Protect
Marcus at all costs. He's the dessert. We need the dessert.
Right.
He's the dessert at the end of the meal, that Marcus. Okay, that said, I must admit the whole Marcus like real estate thing. Yeah, it's probably cuttable.
Yeah, what do you think of the stuff with his dad?
I like the stuff with his dad, but it's just everything else is just like the whole like you selling the house. I don't really care about Marcus like his real estate.
Honestly, that stuff went so in one ear at the other. I barely even paid attention to it.
That and like we had like the weird thing where like his friend has like a crush on Luca. It's just they didn't need anything.
That came out of nowhere. That I did not like. Yeah.
But yes, Will Poulter is a good looking man.
Will Poulter is fucking adorable. We all know it.
Paint him gold. He's Adam Warlock. Yep.
Right.
That's All right, let's see. So, so in our prep kind of for the final night, so Tina, she's reached her pasta goals, thanks to Luca. We've, I'm convinced, by the way, that Richie and Jess, they might end up together. I'm still convinced of that.
Oh, I'm definitely, I ship that more than I ship pretty much anyone in the whole show, honestly.
Yeah. It's nice, I don't know. They really complete each other. I think they've kind of known each other for a while. It hasn't really been like bashing you over the head romantic, but little touches, and it just feels like Richie needs a win. I think Jess could be that win for him. I don't know.
Totally.
So, and of course, we have our two big helps that give us a chance here. Marcus got a good review, and Albert wants to franchise the beef, and I love that. Like the computers has this kind of chance encounter with him, and like Jimmy's like, "No, I want to go." It's like, "No, Jimmy!"
Oh my god, Oliver Platt in that moment, dude. He is so on fire.
God. I have no idea that we have salvation here, you moron. Stop taking the horn. Don't tick off the rich guy. Oh boy. Anyway, so we've set all this up, but also here's something we got to talk about too. Carmi holding the baby.
Yeah. I thought that was really nicely built up. I don't know, Drake. I got to be honest with you. Like, I'm never really that into like, oh, it's the new baby when it comes to TV shows. But it is a nice moment. It is a nice moment for sure. Jeremy Allen White definitely acts it really well.
Yeah. Right. She's a brisata. She's gonna smell like onions anyway. It's fine.
So really quick, the one thing I do want to say with Marcus's father is that I thought it was well done. I thought it was well handled. It kind of comes out of nowhere, though. Like, have we heard that he has issues with his father in the past at all? Because it's always just been, him taking care of his mother.
I think maybe it's just filling the blanks of like the mother. So it's like perhaps like the living situation wasn't great with the father. I don't know. I could have sworn we saw like him not answering the phone. His father called another time before, but
okay.
That's about it.
I thought it was handled well. I think the moment where he goes to the diner and he almost goes in but walks away, I think that was handled really well. I do think the plot line needs some resolution in season 5. I do think that we're kind of and I don't know if that resolution is going to be like a conversation or if it's going to be like Marcus just accepting that he has to cut the father out of his life completely. Maybe we find out what the father did. I don't know. I just kind of feel like there's some pieces still missing there, but I'm intrigued by what it is. All right.
Let's see. Anyway, yeah. So So Carm is tasked with visiting Donna because she wants the family photo album.
Uh-huh.
So Carmi is confronting his worst fear, becoming his mother. So it's not just that. No, it's not just becoming his mother. It's that he's going to the house where it all fell apart. He's going back to
Yep.
his mother's house. So so he returns home after all these years, and we have this again. Jamie Lee Curtis acting again. She won the
Okay,
Emmy.
what I need to say about Jamie Lee Curtis in this episode is that like we can all agree that her Oscar win for Everything Everywhere All at Once was a little ridiculous.
But her Emmy.
But no, her Emmy, yes. But like I'm just saying, like this episode, like goddamn, watching her performance this episode, she didn't win the Oscar for the right thing, and obviously she can't win an Oscar for this. But holy shit, I am glad to say that Jamie Lee Curtis is, in fact, an Oscar winner with this performance. Because it's like, I don't care where that Oscar came from. This woman is just fucking, she's giving it everything, man. She is like laying it all on the table. It is just jaw on the floor, man. I don't even have words. It's just maybe the best piece of acting in the whole show, honestly, is her little monologue here.
Yeah, just like the letter and just putting it, like, just making again. I think so. The idea is she's seen how much the fact that she alienated her son so much that he went away and like missed out as far as she knows, like missed out on his own brother's funeral, just did not put up with her, not to see her. She she never went to the restaurant, maybe in part because of like not wanting to wound Carmi. Like there's a lot of issues between them, and again, it's very much connected. Like we still, and I have to wonder if in season 5 we're going to cover this. We did talk about a little bit here, but the whole like thing with Carmi's dad. We still have never really addressed that.
I kind of feel like we need at least one flashback.
Yeah, and again, we have presumably one more season left, so if we're going to do that, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we just have this gut-wrenching just thing of like she's just putting it on the table.
William H. Macy is Carmi's dad.
That would be great. God.
All right.
But yeah, seriously though, it's just this great, kind of catharsis between mother and son, where she just puts it on Front Street like a genuine, heartfelt apology for everything, saying she's taking steps to, she's really trying to self-improve. So Carmi it's what he's been trying to do this whole season. So he gets it, and it's kind of a forgiveness thing, and this form of forgiveness he cooks for her, and she's a lot more open-minded. And we've seen them cook together before, and it was a disaster. So now she's a lot more receptive. Like don't forget to wash off the salmonella. Like, if I wash it off, it's going to get salmonella everywhere. That's why we do it here.
Right.
Yeah, so he cooks his mama chicken. He cooks her chicken.
Indeed.
That's a chicken of catharsis, Tiki. Do you feel the resolution in every bite? Do you feel that? Do you taste it?
I didn't know catharsis tasted like chicken, but now I do.
Yep, well, everything tastes like chicken, Tiki. Why wouldn't catharsis taste like chicken?
Oh, God. All right.
Yeah. All right. So, so the point being, change and effort is possible. That is what we signify there. So again, we, the audience, have like firmly we're getting like Carmi has done what he's done to the agreement, which then brings us to the last night of the doors being open, which interestingly completely skipped over the last night just to the aftermath.
I really like that. I really think that is like a bold statement right off the top of the bat of the finale to show like we are not like the service, like they've got the service nailed. We do not need to see the service. It is about the characters at this point. Like some people might be annoyed by that, but I don't know. That to me, Dragon, just shows how confident the writers are in the fact that they were able to evolve the show as it went along.
I love that there's kind of like a dang it Pete kind of imperative this season where it's like Pete, like why do you got it? It's basically the equivalent of if we could take the moment from Fishes where Pete shows up with the worst possible news.
Right. Yeah.
So we've kind of made that his character where now mind you, we've done like two things. So in Fishes brings like the worst possible thing he could bring. It's a disaster. He brings like the 8th fish, like stupid. And then season 3, we give him a really heartfelt moment. Well, actually, sorry, I guess that was It's probably 2, actually. I don't know. Do you remember when he showed up and he had the scene with Donna? Was that the end of 2 or was that in 3?
I want to say that was 3. That was 3 in the hospital, I think, right?
Well, I ask because we had the baby delivered in 3, so we
Yeah,
had
I'm pretty sure that Pete scene is in the hospital in that episode. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I could have sworn it was like the opening of the restaurant in 2. I could have sworn that's what it was, but I don't know.
No, yeah. I think you're right because it's one of those. It's the thing where like she doesn't want to go in the
Yeah.
restaurant. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. Do Donna and Pete ever run into each other in that episode? In the birth episode?
I mean, Pete shows up in the room, but I don't think they say anything to each other. I think he just kind of shows up.
Uh-huh.
He eventually finally shows up to when the baby's getting born, that kind of thing.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's like we take just kind of these elements with Pete of like obviously he's a beloved member of the family, or Natalie loves him, but at the same time he brings terrible news that risks tearing the family apart.
All right, so I'm just gonna say, like, I think the Bear, for the most part, has nailed season finales. Like, season 1, we get the great spaghetti can reveal.
Yes.
Season 2, we have the freezer situation.
Yeah.
Season 3, like, I don't like some elements of the season 3 finale. I don't like that in some respects. It's a cameo fest. It's like, look at all the famous chefs. But the big thing in the season 3 finale that we do get that's pivotal to the whole series is the resolution to the Joel McHale stuff.
Yes.
So that's still big. But I gotta say, Dragon, this might be my favorite season finale. I really like. This is the type of bottle episode that I fall in love with. I mean, this is just. I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me, I was hanging on every fucking word of this thing.
It was a tense and realistic conversation between our 3 lead characters. It was good.
Uh-huh.
So just
I love how when Richie comes in, it's like at first it kind of relieves the tension. It's like, whoa, what are you knuckleheads yelling about? But very quickly it gets tense.
Yeah. So basically, it starts off with Sid and Carm just having this debate about after she learned from Pete that Carmy is not listed as like one of the restaurant owners in the agreement. Basically, he's eventually going to retire. Now, I was a little conflicted on this scene. Not in like the structurally, I'm with you. The bottle episode, ending on the conversation after.
I honestly think you're meant to be a little conflicted.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying it's doing its job. It's not a criticism. It's just like I'm conflicted about it because I'm supposed to be. Right. I feel Sid is, I love it. So again, like these 2 characters have had growth and progression where Sid's finally kind of stick up for herself with the wrong person. It's like she's a little much in this scene. She's yelling and not letting him explain. But at the same token, Carm, he's not good at explanations because he's distanced himself from people. He's been basically traumatized.
I am more on Carm's side here. I would be less on Carm's side if he was like, I'm leaving the restaurant immediately, like I'm walking away tonight, like I got a plane to Alaska, Sid. I need to figure my shit out. Yeah. Like if that was the case, then fuck him. But no, he's being very clear. Like, I'm not leaving right away. I'm going to make sure that you all are in a position to succeed.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I respect, I love, I'm on Carm's side, but by the same token, I know that Carm, because of everything that he's going through, and he's still working on himself and everything, he is still, again, he has trouble socializing with people, and with that in mind, he's kind of having a problem like delivering the information economically.
On that note, I really do like the whole like how this conversation begins with him just being like, "You didn't talk to me, all service," and like him just kind of like he's bad at socializing, but he can catch the social cues, and so he kind of calls that out. So I do like that's a very realistic way to start this conversation, I think.
Yeah. It's just basically what Carmen's just trying to streamline, but he's having trouble doing it, which is just feeding into the conversation. Is that Carm, he can't handle the stress and being that's being a problem with the restaurant. Is that he needs to step away once it's solved, once the problem of this, once the financial physical crisis is solved, which is reasonable. After we're not underwater. I'm gonna turn the keys over the kingdom to you guys because you're the future,
Uh-huh.
and basically the whole thing, like, I'm trying to change. I'm trying to not be difficult with everybody.
I'm
I'm trying,
basically trying to not be what you have called me out as being.
which again is very reasonable. It's a very, yeah. I mean, this is like he's making a very good point here, and he's basically believing in you, but at the same time, again, Sid, she did try to leave him. She's a hypocrite in this conversation, which he gently, again, he's not being aggressive. He's saying, "Look, you did it, but it's okay. I understand why."
Uh-huh.
So I'm on Carmi's side during this for sure. But at the same, it's. I mean, Sid feels betrayed. She wasn't like it's all this, but you know what, Sid? They keep sending you agreement after agreement. You don't read these things because you're always
That's
hemming
true.
and
That's
hawing.
true.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
far more on Carmi's side than I am on Sid's side, admittedly. And plus, Sid's issues are like, oh, people like you. I'm so sorry, Sid.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know, so Richie on the other end, so Richie calls him out on, and Richie has a justifiable position here where he's viewing this like Carmi, running away like he did after the Christmas episode, as just being part of the
Sure.
core
And I
story,
do
and
think that Richie has a much more understandable qualm with the whole thing that
and
comes from a much more personal place.
their issues are a lot more on Front Street here, with the idea that Richie and Carm have always been jealous of each other because of their respective bonds with Mikey. Where one's the literal brother, one's the figurative brother.
Exactly.
And, the other one was closer than the other one was to Mikey. So we kind of really vocalize that here. And then we have like the big atom bomb reveal that he went to the funeral, which basically would have changed their whole, relationship, because he always thought like he completely abandoned the dead brother. Was like, no,
Right,
I did show up briefly and no one saw me. Like, what kind of suit was it? I don't remember what suit you were wearing. How do I was sad. How do I remember that?
I'm so sad.
So sad.
I was so sad, Richie.
Yeah, just imagine Vera Farmiga just showing up almost like the therapy dog of sorts. She shows up and she just shows up to funerals and hugs sad people, and she goes off until like the sunset.
Okay, Dragon, have you heard of the moms at Pride that give free hugs?
No.
Yes, it's a thing. I witnessed it twice this past month. That is totally Vera Farmiga's vibe.
There you go.
All right.
So so they basically tell each other they've been jealous of each other, and then the solution is that Richie is poised to take over, not out of pity, but he's earned it. He absolutely earns it because he was there for the beef. He deserves the he should be there, and he's he's basically putting there in Carmi's stead.
Sure.
So then we're out of time. Literally, like it stops. Like the clock, it reaches zero. And I love the tension on. Oh God, that's the last episode of the season. It's like either we get 2 more episodes or we get a whole season.
Much better. It's a much better cliffhanger than season 3 was. There's actual tension there. I'm honestly not on the edge of my seat just because, I think the show pretty clearly laid out that the beef, as a franchise is going to be what saves the restaurant. But I don't know. I still think there's definitely I'm hanging on the edge of my seat for the personal dynamics, and I think that's what the show really has excelled at and really transitioned to very well.
I'm not looking at 5 as like, oh, something big has to happen. It's more of like, we have Hanging
I think
Chad.
it's essentially the epilogue.
Yeah. We have it's basically like, we have like our, you're right though, in terms of an epilogue. It's like we have our ending, we have essentially like, we have the final night at Chef Cousteau's, and then we're going to have, kind of like where we leave everyone with, the anti-ego review. That's essentially what we're looking at here. So,
Sure.
It's just that it's the question of we have story left and we'd have to tie up our loose ends. That's essentially what it is. Where we know the restaurant, they gave it their absolute best, so they can kind of take that to the bank. I mean, presumably we will be saved by the whole franchising thing. I mean, there's you could always, a part of me wondered, like, is the season like 2 episodes short because we have all the stuff we have unresolved? But again, in theory, I don't know how long season 5 is going to be. I would imagine it would be short because there's not a lot of story left, but just enough story maybe.
That would be cool with like 6 episodes, honestly.
I think so. I think we're looking at 6 to 8 at most. Definitely not 10, but it's just a matter of, 6 would be kind of smart though. It's the idea that we have to tie up our loose ends, and is how much screen time we dedicate to that. We obviously have to have an episode that features a flashback and maybe a kind of a Fish's equivalent of something. Every season has like the Fish's episode equivalent.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's just it's that the show definitely needs. We need to see where we leave everyone. Like for example, like Carmy says he'll retire, so we got to see presumably Carmy's retirement, but also so we got to save the restaurant. We got Carmy's retirement. We got Fishes up, so that's 3 right there. And then like the loose ends, that's 4. So that's like Marcus, and Tina and everyone, just kind of like seeing where they go.
Mm-hmm.
And just probably Richie and Jess getting together somewhere. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I mean we have just we gotta give him a happy ending essentially, Yeah.
And the whole series is just gonna end with Luca just like giving like a look of appreciation and fondness to the whole cast, just silently.
Yeah, just like we have like the end of it being Luca, he hangs like a photo and he looks like giving a smile. And he says like, "This is nice." And they,
Yes. Oh my god. All right. Any final thoughts, Dragon?
again, look, it was again, it was a very again, it was very it was kind of a quiet release, but it was a quality TV as far as I'm concerned. It was a very solid season 4. Honestly, look, the Bear. I mean, look, we're splitting hairs with 3. 3, it was just like 3 had good bits
I
in
need
it,
to
but
rewatch 3 after 4. Honestly, I'm very
yeah.
compelled to rewatch 3 after 4.
I mean, 3 had a lot of good stuff in it, but just didn't tie.
Uh-huh.
Again, well, gotta remember the finale of 3 is.
I do think 3 did have a lot of issues that this season revolves. 3 had way too many like shenanigans with the facts and the celebrity cameos and stuff. I do think that 3 got a little too Dragon. I hated that opening, like the opening episode of season 3, which was basically like an extended previously montage. Like that to me, like I think the show shed a lot of its like artistic pretension going into this season. The show, like, it kept the ambition of the narrative and the ambition to transition away from being just like a pressure cooker show about running a kitchen. And like I said, like the big vote of confidence with that is we start the season finale. The service is done. The service is over. But I don't know. I just think that season 4 just like it took all the positive bits of evolution that the show went through, and it kind of stripped away all the superfluous like stylistic stuff, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, remember 3. It didn't help the 3 ended on like cliffhanger of like reading. It's a
flashes of words, some good, some bad.
It's a review, probably not good. Otherwise, what kind of ending is that? I mean, Carmy didn't look really pleased. It's like, okay, so this is like
I was literally like when the to be continued thing came up, I'm like, look, you don't have to end a season on a cliffhanger if you don't want to, but that was not a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, yeah. So point being, season 4 upgrade, and just on the whole, the series. I mean, so honestly, the series again, the factory in 3, even which again a rewatch, who knows how well hold up the whole, but it's very quality show. It's the kind of storytelling that we're looking for, that we need, and it's it's.
I don't think we've ever gotten a like something on the level of Better Call Saul since Better Call Saul, but this is close. This is close.
It's an attempt at a Better Call Saul. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's about it, folks. I don't expect this podcast to be like, we got one comment from Little Blue at the beginning, then Sonia Pantoja just popped up about 20 minutes ago just saying, hi. How you doing, Sonia? Happy to have you. But I'm not expecting this video to do gangbusters numbers or anything. But Dragon, I thought this season deserved to have a conversation about it. And we've talked about all the other seasons. So very happy we did this. I'm very happy we got together and did this together. All right. Okay, folks. That's about it. See y'all later. Have a good night.
Jeff's kiss.